Marjorie, you had come out of the Black Barn on the ranch. Now, just as a kind of refresher, this is the ranch where Bannon used to run his cult, the Founding, which you were all members of, the ranch that was raided by the FBI, where most of the cult was killed, and where Bannon and some of the others disappeared through some sort of, it's not very clear how or where, but they disappeared. And you have just helped Iommi capture these two detectives who were sniffing around because the lot of you sacrificed ritually. You're a psychologist here, Dr. Bell. And these detectives were sniffing around, looking into that. So you and Iommi decided to bring them here, and you unleashed your women, your new group of cultists, I guess, perhaps, that have been following you as their leader, and you have gotten them into a state of frenzy, and you unleashed them on these detectives, and they battered them and captured them for you, and you left them in the barn, in the Black Barn with Iommi to do God knows what. You're certain it's gonna be something. Especially considering there are already 3 corpses there. Who knows what Iommi's been doing her spare time? She's such an innocent little child.
Arts and crafts.
Arts and crafts. You stepped out of the Black Barn. You directed Alexandra to take the other women into the house so that they could clean themselves after their little bacchanalia. Their little bacchanal. And you saw for a moment the Fairy Queen. The Fairy Queen who told you that there was one more task for these women. More tasks for them to accomplish, and in order to free themselves. You are walking now across the yard, and the Fairy Queen, Malku, is walking alongside you in your shadow. And as you are walking, she's explaining to you that there are a number of cities throughout the country that are built exactly like this one, that look exactly like this one. They are laid out geographically exactly like this one. At the center of each of them is a motel, Stardust Motel. These motels were long ago built on places of power and have been acting for a long time as conduits that help this illusion that everyone is trapped in, that reinforces it. And what she would very much like you to do is to burn them down. If you would convince these women that you are freeing, if you would gather them, tell them that their salvation, their freedom lies through the fires and the flames. The motel must burn, the homes of each of these women where they are kept and enslaved by this system must burn. The entire city must burn. As you know, we have a pact, you and I, Marjorie. You served me for 15 years, and in 15 years I will open your eyes. 1 year for each of these cities. I need you to go forth. In these cities, I need you to find women who, like the ones here, are in need of liberation. Gather them to you. Teach them. Show them. And in each of these cities, burn them down. Will you do that, Mark?
cleansing fire. A perfect homecoming. Gladly, my queen.
In doing this, their eyes will be open. The eyes of all of those who would enslave them will be open. I have given you Alexandra. Alexandra will help you. She will do the dirtiest work for you. She has no compunction. She will serve you as you serve me. She'll handle the less savory parts. And once these women have been liberated and you have been shown the truth, they will continue your great work, and so throughout this country, throughout the world, in fact, will continue to spread this message of awakening. I trust you.
Forgive me my impertinence, Your Highness. However, Alexandra, I've noticed, is a bit, trigger happy, let's say. She wasn't exactly... Well, I certainly hope that she is more agreeable as we set out together. But I suppose if it's your will, then very good.
There's a small amused laugh that emanates from underneath the veil that she wears, and she says, Alexandra is useful and effective precisely because of the way she is. You simply need to learn how to focus her, guide her better. Consider it part of your training, your learning. Not all of the women you meet will be so docile and willing to obey at every command. It is good to learn how to take those who already have the fire and learn to guide it, rather than try to control it completely.
Of course, Your Highness. Gladly.
You realize she's gone, and the front door of the ranch opens up, and Alexandra comes out along with a couple of the other women that have finished cleaning themselves. They've found food and are eating ravenously and drinking and are making a whole mess themselves again. And Alexandra walks towards you and she says, I don't know who lived here, but the place is just jam-packed with Oreo cookies and cakes and, well, sugar, basically.
Well, I'm sure whoever's been living here would be happy to share what they have. What a kind gesture.
What do we do next? And she turns and looks at the women who are gorging themselves on these sugary treats on the front porch. Our friends here don't seem to be quite satisfied yet. There's still a hunger and yearning inside of them for something more. What do we do next?
Oh, there is much satisfaction to be had. And Marjorie walks over to the fire pit and begins loading it with kindling and logs and very deftly making a fire. And her white gown is sort of flowing in the breeze of the desert as she crouches down and ignites it. Once it starts getting going, she beckons the women to come over. Come, ladies. Sit. Enjoy your provisions.
They do. They gather around, crouching around this fire, or lying down, or sitting on the ground, and most of them have, once again, undone all the cleaning they've done. They have cake frosting and bits and cookies around their mouths and on their hands, and They have this restlessness about them, this wild energy that you feel is just asking to be unleashed. You remember most of these women are just simple women from the town, most of them housewives or cashiers at the grocery store, or some of them are teachers. They are just these women who had enough of the blinders that had been put on them, the chains that had been put on them, and now they gather around this fire like animals around this pit, and they look to you. They look to you for guidance.
I dip the end of a longer piece of kindling into the fire and raise it up after it's caught. The shackles society has placed on you, your husbands, boyfriends, houses, jobs, families, all these shackles that weigh you down and keep you from your divine self. It's time to remove them, time to cleanse them with righteous fire. And I hand the piece of kindling to Alexandra, and I say, burn the ranch. Then take this fire to your homes, and your neighbors' homes, and the public school systems, and the gas stations, and the grocery stores, and the banks, especially the banks. Make sure the banks burn. Hit every single part of this weeping pustule of a town. We have work to do.
With a grin, Alexandra grabs the killing you give her, the fire you give her, and rushes towards the ranch house and begins lighting it. A couple of the other women grab more and go with her. One of the other women says there must be gasoline or something in one of the other buildings, and she starts to run towards the black barn and then stops and suddenly looks afraid and pivots and runs instead towards a little garage next to the main house and throws open the door and comes out with a jerry can of gas. And you see in that garage, Marjorie, something big hidden under a tarp. The women come out and they start spreading gas around, and in moments the fire is lit and the fire starts to spread. And Alexandra comes and stands next to you. And she looks at you and she says, do you think they have what it takes? It's one thing to burn an old empty ranch now. Take firebrand to your own home, to your house, to your haven. You think they'll have the stomach for it?
We're separating the wheat from the chaff. Those who can do it will, and those who can't will burn in the fire themselves.
Soon enough, the ranch, most of it, has caught on fire. The only thing that's not burning is the black barn that sits there kind of ominous, and you have no clue what's going on in there, but you kind of sense that maybe Iommi isn't there anymore. But the rest of the place burns, and as you watch it burn, there's this sense of elation, because what you feel, you imagine yourself on a stage destroying this set of this play that you've been caught in forever, and as every panel and every false facade of buildings burns down, you feel like you can see further and further away, like beyond even the walls of the theater and out into the great open air and even beyond. And as the buildings around you burn down and the old dead trees, you get this sense of a vista opening up. Soon enough, the women have scattered, grabbed what they could, heading back towards town. You're left with Alexandra. the fire around you is raging. It's incredibly hot, and it's just this, that shimmering air around you and this black smoke that's just raising up into the sky. Alexandra says someone's bound to come soon. See what this is all about. We shouldn't tarry too long.
You're right. Come with me. And I stride across the open yard towards the garage, my white dress billowing behind me. Of course, Marjorie's wearing sandals with toe rings and ankle bracelets. And I arrive at the garage and throw back the tarp on what I believe is a vehicle.
It is, in fact, a vehicle. Underneath the tarp, you see this nice VW bus, red and white. It's seen some use. It's not necessarily in the best, but it'll do very nice. There's flowers that have dried, garlands of flowers that have dried inside. There's carpeting on the floor in the back. There's a good sound system, and you can see the remains of clothing and things of that nature, whoever used this. And as you open the door, you get that unmistakable scent that you came to associate in time with Bannon himself, that smell of sweat and wood. And you know this used to be his, and you look and you see in ignition the keys with a little rabbit's foot dangling.
Hop in, co-pilot. And I open the door and I get in and I grip the steering wheel and my hands squeak against the leather. And I look down and I imagine in the tape deck that there is Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. And I go, oh, excellent. And I turn the ignition and I press play.
The Volkswagen starts after a couple of hesitant turns. There are crystals and not dangling from the rearview mirror and a peace sign. And you get the sense that horrible, terrible things have happened in this vehicle. You can almost smell the blood and the fear that must have permeated this vehicle over time. Can you go ahead and give me a roll on your repressed? That'll be a roll +0.
Well, that was lucky. 16.
You, for a moment, have this recovered memory that threatens to come out. You smell smoke and fire and flesh burning, and you hear screams. But then the song starts on the tape deck, and you're pulled out of your reverie. The memory returns back deep inside your mind where it came from. Alexandra looks at you and goes, Stardust Motel?
They say it's like no place on earth. Funny, isn't it? You'd think they'd say like no place else on earth.
I was never much one for grammar.
Funny, it gives it a sense of not being on this planet, like no place on earth.
Well, when you think about it, there isn't anything. It's all just illusion.
Yes, it's all an illusion. So let's raise it to the ground. Start all over.
And as the bus rolls out of the garage, leaving behind the burning wreckage of the Dixon Line Ranch, where all of this started, Dell. Dell.
Little Dell.
Little guy. You wake up, Dell. You feel like you've been on a bender. You don't know for how long. Your mouth is dry. There's dried vomit on the carpet beneath your face. Your face is basically stuck to it at this point on the ground. You're lying stark naked in the middle of the hallway on the second floor of the house.
I think Dell pulls his cheek from the floor, scratches at it, gets some of the dry vomit off of it, and his head is fucking throbbing. I think he just kind of sits against the wall. I don't even think he gets up yet to kind of collect himself. He's thinking, he's trying to recall what the fuck happened.
You first notice that you're covered in dried mud and in dirt. You're very filthy, like you've been rolling around outside or something. Your hair is just filled with it, and there's some in your ears and in your nose and under your fingernails. You really feel like that's what you've been doing. And when you try to recall, you find it difficult. You remember it was raining. You remember watching someone dancing. You remember silhouette, two people dancing outside in the darkness and kind of being lured to see what it was all about, and then everything kind of goes blurry and weird, and suddenly your stomach kind of turns over on itself and you retch again, and when you do, it's just bile. There's nothing left in your stomach. You're just sick with bile, and you just, without real care, just spew it all over yourself and all over the floor and sit back. And you notice how silent in the house.
No water running or the shower is going. He's holding his head in his hands, and he'll call out, Delphine, Delphi. Do a little whistle, see if she answers.
You don't, but after you whistle, you start hearing like a murmur or a whisper coming down the hallway, coming from behind that door at the end of the hallway, the room where the statue is. These whispers start to carry down along this corridor. You're down.
I think Dell goes. I'm wondering if I think recalling seeing these figures in the woods and feeling pulled to them is just further affirming him in that he has this special connection with the statue. So I think he crawls at first because he feels fucked up, and eventually when he gets to the doorknob, he grab onto it to pull himself up and just kind of, unlock the door, but presses into it because he's so fucking tired.
The door opens with some difficulty, but you manage to push it open, and you see, as always, standing there at the other end of the room, the two dancers. This statue of these two dancers conjoined together in this strange dance. You're certain that the statue has moved again. It's not in the same positioning. The snake that is kind of wrapped around them almost appears to be moving, but the thing that really arrests your attention is on the ground in front of the statue. You see almost kind of like a reflection of the statue in the water or something. You see Delphine and another woman you don't recognize that's got some slight resemblance to her. You see them lying on the floor, conjoined together at the trunk. 4 arms, 2 heads, 4 legs, but attached together. The 2 of them are lying on the ground, writhing, unclear, pain and agony. They are covered also in mud like you. The floor beneath them, the carpet, is stained with dirt and mud and blood, and they are lying there almost as if in some sort of trance. Undulating, really, is what they're doing on the ground in front of the statue.
I think Del just drops these and quickly crawls to Delphine, a little bit worried, but also extremely intrigued at this shape that she has taken, and or that she is, because like they've never seen each other before. So
there's
he's
a
like,
familiarity to her, even though you've never seen her before.
Yeah.
And a familiarity goes beyond the physical. Like, you feel like this is someone that you, in some ways, more intimately than you really realize. The other woman who is attached to her feels familiar also, but you know you've never met her, seen her. But the 2 of them are attached, and you can't see any lines, no suture lines, no scars, nothing. It's really as if they've always been this way, as if their 2 bodies started devouring each other and stopped kind of halfway, and their eyes are rolled in the back of their heads.
Del, I think, grabs like Delphine's face just to kind of really examine it and look at her, feeling this feeling connected to her in some way, and kind of like pulls down her eyes, trying to get like a reaction out of her, trying to make her lucid, I guess, and would have slapped her cheek a couple of times.
You don't get too much out of her. You start hearing like this strange chant that kind of mimics the whispers, but seems to be coming from her throat, as if something is inside of her singing rather than herself singing. And when she does this at a different pitch, but one that fits perfectly well, the other woman also starts doing the same. And then you're certain that the statue moved right overhead of you. The shadow on the ground that it casts from the overhead light moves. And you feel like you see it move out of the corner of your eye. What do you do?
He looks at it. Does it continue moving?
You look at it, and the 2 heads have turned and are looking down at you. And then you hear the door close.
Like the downstairs door?
Like the door to the room.
Oh, God.
And when you look, you see someone standing there.
Del, I think, is almost scared to look away, like prey caught in the gaze of a predator. Like, if I move, they're going to get me, almost, you know? He is still, I think, has Delphine's head in his lap. And after a long moment, does tear his eyes away to see who the figure may be.
The figure at the door is strange, almost kind of like enshrouded with a face that constantly changes. In one moment it is the face of a beautiful young woman, in the next it is the face of a burnt corpse, the next it is the face of an old man, then the next it's the face of a child, and it keeps switching like that. But the thing that is true about all of them is that they have an indelible look of pain and horror in their eyes, but at the same time are incredibly beautiful. And you see this figure, and it takes a step forward, and it says in a voice that's like 10, 20 different people talking at the same time, "Beautiful, aren't they?"
Del looks back at Delphine, and I don't think beautiful is the word he would use. I think he actually will say that that's not quite the word I would use, but this is something. His fingers kind of run along where Delphine and Cassandra are like joined at, just to like touch it and feel, is this real? This all feels very real right now.
You feel a touch on your shoulder, and the voice, when it speaks to you next, is coming right from next to your ear. It is difficult sometimes for people to see the beauty that is in the horror, the beauty in the abject, the sublime and the horrific. But look closely, Del. Look at their eyes. They have truly transcended. They have become something more.
And I think he does. He looks at Delphine's eyes, looks at her expression, brushes her hair out of the way, and really takes her in.
I think what you see when you look again is you do start seeing the beauty there. There is two beautiful bodies there, and the fact that they are joined as they are is what makes it strange. But that's when you realize it's not that it makes it horrific, is that it makes it alien and it different. And the more you look at it, the more there's perfection in the symmetry. The shoulders are at the same height, the hips at the same height, the legs the same length, even though they're different. The skin color, beautiful match in both of them. Their hair, same thing. There are such beautiful little bits and pieces here that even the alienness of it and the strangeness of the surroundings and the horror of everything that's been happening in this house feels like it is part of this. Without the horrific part, you would not be able to see the beauty in it. You need to take in the horror and the abject of it to fully understand the beauty of it. There's a design here, an execution of that design that is basically perfect. It's like looking at a piece of art created by a mind that is so warped and strange that what you would normally consider aesthetically pleasing no longer applies, yet still manages in some strange way. It's the same way you can't look away from a horror film or an accident or something like that. There is a beauty in the horror that is there that is kind of enthralling.
I think he gets lost in that. I think it moves him to tears, which when he comes out of this surprises him. He touches his cheek and it's wet, but the tears are just streaming. And he's nodding. I can see it. I can see it.
I know you can. Do you think that you could create something like this with your hands?
I think so. Yeah.
You feel the statue move. You feel the hands alight on you. Start slowly caressing your neck and shoulder, and the serpent, which feels like this cool glass, is starting to wrap itself around you, and you see one of the statues is reaching down, and in its hand is a strange looking knife made of what appears to be bone.
Dell takes it and just holds it as if it is a most precious item.
Pull them apart. Give them release and use their offering, their sacrifice, their body to decorate this holy chamber. Create beauty out of the horror of their death.
And I think Dell does. He doesn't hesitate with that first word. He plunges the knife right between them and just begins to saw and take them apart. But he does it very carefully.
You cut through them, and with every thrust of the blade, they moan in pleasure and in pain, and they don't fight you, but they simply writhe where they are, and you find the flesh separates with some difficulty, but not without a certain beauty to it. The colors that emanate from their body, the insides, the precision of the cuts. There are no bones to saw through. Everything is just soft, pliable flesh. And as you cut into them and the blood flows freely between you, their moans and their gyrations become this strange, macabre dance that you have to stop and just take in once in a while.
I think it's just such an experience for Dell right now that he is getting so high off of this shit. Like, he doesn't need drugs for this moment right now. He is so elevated. I think pupils just blown witnessing this. Creating art and witnessing art, he's on cloud nine.
As you pull apart the bodies and they start to still where they are, what do you do with them? What do you do with what spills out of them?
I think, like his past creations, he tries to recreate the statue again. He tries to hoist them up and just put them in a pose that is similar, but still different in like its own right, using everything that comes from them as just little charms and decorations, I think, to dangle from them.
As you're doing this, what's your state of mind? What are you feeling like? what part of this is reaching to you and kind of tugging at something that's been hidden inside of you? What is it that kind of draws you out from all of this?
I think it's doing the thing that is just not accepted by society. This is some total other shit that normal people would never engage in, approve of, and he feels free from that like moral obligation.
And as you go on with your work, as you go on creating beauty out of all this horror that's in your hands, Estelle,
Me? That is me.
you are in a bathtub that has filled with blood, and you've been there a little bit because it's starting to coagulate, and in the bathtub with you is the body of your daughter, unmoving, eyes blank. It's been a little while. You have not fully yet understood what's happened. Your brain is resisting it. Your brain is kind of refusing in some way to accept what you're seeing, what you know is true in front of you. And then you hear a knock at the door, and a voice says, "Housekeeping." And then you hear a key rattling in the door.
She'll call out. Can you come back in an hour? I'm occupied.
The door opens, and
Rude.
this young woman walks in. She's singing something as she does, and you can see that she's wearing a Walkman over here, and she comes in with handfuls of towels and some cleaning products, pushes the door in, and she looks around and she looks over into the bathroom, and she goes, "Oh." She walks over and she looks inside, and she sees you there. She looks around. "Well, you made a mess, didn't you?" "Why is it always on my shift?"
If you don't want to deal with it, you can always leave.
No, that's what I'm here for. It's okay, it's okay. I'll just start here, I guess. And she gets some of her cleaning products, and she gets on the ground, and she starts cleaning the blood, and she's scrubbing away at the floor. And she looks over her shoulder at you once in a while, and she goes, "You okay?"
I can't tell if that is a genuine question or if that's just a mortal. It's a Tuesday blanket statement. Regardless, no, I'm not.
She stops scrubbing and kind of sits back on her heels and puts her hands on her hips and goes, "Oh, it's really a mess. It's gonna be a big one." And she looks over at you and she goes, "Have you been here a long time?"
I don't know. I guess Technically, yes. But right now, I don't know.
I guess we're gonna have to get you cleaned up too, right?
Who are you? Well, I guess if you are helping with this cleaning up and then even offering to clean up myself, I should know what to call you.
You can call me Tifa.
Tifa.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Tifa.
Seen you around here before, haven't you? Haven't I? Sorry.
Probably.
Hmm.
Another me or me myself. Not quite sure anymore.
Comes over and like, let me help you out of there. Let's get you cleaned up.
It's a very instinctive thing because she's still holding Cynthia that she kind of goes a bit feral and just shrinks back in, still holding her daughter.
Okay, it's okay. Just here to help. I'll just go and start the shower, okay? Whenever you're ready, you come out of that bathtub and while you shower, I'll get this cleaned up. Did you know her? She kind of looks like you.
I didn't deserve to have her,
Why not?
but she was still mine.
Why not?
Because she deserved a mother who wasn't broken.
We all deserve a mother who isn't broken, but who amongst us gets that?
Yeah, well, she deserved a mother who wasn't broken, who almost put her in a situation just so to feed an ego, and in the attempt to free her from that ego, killed her.
Well, that's not really your concern anymore, is it? I mean, God really only focuses on themselves. Why? They don't really have any attachments to the mortal world, right?
Perhaps. But this was the last feeling that Estelle had before this happened. And thus, it is a lingering feeling of pity.
Well, look at it this way. You're free now. Hard to give up all the trappings of being a normal human. It's very demanding. I mean, it's kind of like, a normal human trying to give up the little luxuries of life. Like, that's how they trap you. That's how they get you. They make you believe that you need all these things, and without them, your life is miserable. And it's kind of like that. Like, you start thinking that you need these people and you need these attachments and you need friends and you need family and you need all those things, but really you don't need that because you're a god. You don't need anything, right? You can literally have anything you want.
But am I a god that needs worshippers and thus need beings, or am I someone that does not care for the trappings of that?
Well, it depends on what kind of god you want to be. You like to be worshipped, don't you? You like people looking at you and desiring you and wanting you and finding you. You like that, don't you?
I suppose, but it did end up leading to a lot of trouble for the mortal Estelle, didn't it?
Yeah, I can see that. This is definitely a lot of trouble. I mean, you can just snap your fingers and undo all of it.
I think that is an excellent idea.
I mean, there are probably other options. There are probably some people who would be very happy to have you just out here doing your thing, being wild and free and beautiful and enjoying yourself and doing all these things. But I mean, is that what you would want, to just kind of go back to doing what you were doing when the entire world now is everything is what is it that they say? The world is your not lobster,
Oyster.
oyster. The world is your oyster.
You're a very curious one, Tifa.
I've been told that before. Broken mother, you know.
But what if I want both? In a manner of speaking. What if split the differences?
Why are you even wondering? You're a god. You can literally do anything you want. Why don't you just make that happen? Don't you think that that's possible?
Just to be very clear, because it has been a very trying insert amount of days, weeks, months, I don't know, and care anymore. You're not another variation of me, are you? You don't look like me at the very least.
No, she doesn't look like you at all. She looks like a young, maybe very difficult to tell, maybe Hispanic or something like that, but just definitely not anything like you. Nothing like you. No, I just clean the room, you know?
Alright.
I smell burning.
Oh. I guess we need to be quick then.
You know, there's always a fire somewhere. But yeah, like, I mean, I don't know why you couldn't just make all of that happen. Whatever you want, you are God. Unless you suppose that those kinds of things always come with a price, which I guess would be logical in some way.
Technically speaking, but gods don't really function in logic now, do they?
That's true. That's very true. She sits down on the side of the tub. You just gotta decide what you want, I think, and, you know, go after it, you know?
Alright. I would like for Cynthia to awake.
She gets up and sits up in the bathtub and looks at you.
This is just a nightmare. You don't remember anything of this. And you're going to leave this state with your mother. Wait outside for her, please.
The housekeeper leans in and goes, "She looks like she's been stabbed in the neck. That might be a problem."
Oh, yes. Forgot all that. A wave of the hand. Wounds are healed. Clothes clean.
In a kind of zombified state, your daughter slowly extricates herself from the bathtub and, kind of looking almost like she's sleepwalking, kind of stumbles out.
Alright, next thing on the agenda. And she reaches for her face, and almost like she is grabbing something to pull off, like a rubber mask, she is going to start tearing in to her. And as she's tearing in, she's going to start just saying, "Your name is now Renee. This has been a nightmare for you as well. The pain of your youth, the manipulation of people. It has made you stronger, but it will not break you. You will leave this state with your daughter, and perhaps, if you wish, connect with your son. But your work here is done, and your cost is your name. You are no longer Estelle, for that is me. Enjoy your life, Renee." And there'll just be a separate Estelle. Looks pretty similar, maybe a bit more, a little bit aged, but more of like a youthful age. There's like little crow's feet, the smile lines. A couple of grays here and there, but still beautiful. And she'll be dazed, making sure that she's cleaned up too, and send her on the way. I think there's actually a parting gift. I think I can consider myself a kind god, but it will help me too. Matthew, whatever remains of you, I can't tell if you were ever unfaithful, but you saw a broken woman and you made her into a doll, and thus you get no life. But you will feel me and feel Renee. And while we're at it, let's give a show to Vegas. Pastor Terry, you were the monster that I loathed the most. You took a child who wanted God's favor, and you tried to mold her to your perfect little toy. You didn't quite succeed, but it did ruin her. So in front of your stage, in front of your crowds, your life is forfeited. And she will do a deep inhale and then an exhale, as somewhere in Vegas, during a Las Vegas show, a white, middle-aged man, Pastor Terry Bison, drops. And as Renee leaves, the zombification, tired look lightens a bit. She feels and looks a bit more vivacious. In my eyes, a bit more brighter. I think that's really it. I sense that Bannon has other opportunities for him, and that's not my prey. So I guess I can leave that bastard alone. I can respect hunts.
Well, that looks like a pretty full day of work to me. You think you could do anything about these bloodstains so I don't have to spend the rest of the day scrubbing?
Wave.
Now, you sent her out with your daughter. What are you going to do?
I think I'm needed elsewhere. Or maybe I'll just experience what life has to offer for me. We'll see what comes first. Kind of want to burn this place down, honestly.
I think someone's beating you to it. Definitely smells like fire and smoke. Wouldn't be the first time this place burns down either.
Well, at the very least, I could take down this room. Sorry to ruin yours cleaning.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. I hate this job anyway, and she takes off her apron. She tosses it in the bathtub. Alright, well, I guess I don't have to scrub anything or change the sheets or anything. That's great.
Oh no, it'll be perfectly flammable.
Alright, I'm taking the mints though, and she grabs a bag of mints from the little cart.
I don't even care about eating right now, so go ham, girl. And as she is walking out with her out of the bathroom, just starts snapping her fingers as things start exploding in fire. And then she'll leave.
As you leave the room catching on fire, you hear the bathroom door slam and the chain goes taut underneath it. And then the room is engulfed.
Very waiting to exhale moment. All right. Let's see what the day has to offer.
Let's see what the day has to offer to Iommi. Iommi, you are in the Black Barn. You have done what you needed to do. You've placed the detectives where they should go in the order of the 5 victims. You went through the various steps and summoned the 5 faces on each of them, and It's been a lot of work. You've never done 2 at a time, and it's taken a bit of its toll, and by the time it's done, you're sweating, and the black pool of viscous liquid at the middle has grown really big, and it's touching the feet of the 5 victims you've arrayed around it, and it's bubbling up, and the hole at the center, the hole is even bigger than before, and you can see all this liquid kind of just sort of pouring in it, and you feel power just sort of vibrating through it, and you can smell Bannon, and you can feel him closer than he's been, and you realize you also smell burning and smoke, but it's really far at the back of your mind. As you are finishing this up, what is going through your mind, and what does this whole situation look like?
I think she's standing there at the edge of the pool. Her pretty white dress is soaked in the blood of these detectives. Blood up to her elbows, splattered across her face. But there is elation there in her eyes, a smile on her lips. She is excited. She knows she's so close to that thing that she wants so desperately. She did everything that she was supposed to do just as she was told to do it. She's so good at following orders. And she's just waiting, looking for any little sign.
And as you kneel there next to this pool of liquid, and you see it moving and bubbling up, and you see the bodies slowly start to slide towards it, and in moments you see these chains that come out of this liquid and wrap around the ankles of each of these victims and start slowly pulling them into the pool of liquid one after the other. And as they disappear, you feel Bannon closer and closer and closer, and the 5 bodies get pulled into this liquid and disappear down into this hole at the center of it. And then the pool becomes still. The hole at the center disappears, and it's just this very still, very round pool of black liquid that is not even reflective. You can't see your face in it or anything. And nothing is happening.
Father Bannon, can you hear me?
You see movement at the bottom of the pool, and you see his face as it looks like he's trying to swim up. And he's clawing and clawing up and trying to swim up through this viscous liquid, and he's almost making it, but it's very thick and very difficult to move through, and he's reaching out and he's trying to get out of it, and you can see in his eyes that like he's starting to run out of breath as he's trying to climb through this and reach you. What do you do?
She edges closer to that pool and she submerges her hands into it all the way down to her shoulders, reaching in return to him.
You feel his hand wrap around yours, climb up, wrap around your wrist, and your hand wraps around his wrist. And you start pulling him up. And as you do, these chains with these hooks shoot out of the water and wrap around you and pierce your flesh and grab you under your rib cage and in the back and behind your shoulder blade, and in a moment you were pulled into the water. And for a moment there's nothing. Just darkness. And then a light appears. You're standing on some kind of thick plush carpeting, and at the other end of the room, wherever you are, there's this big round white light that opens up and shines down on what strangely appears to be some kind of den with couches and chairs, thick carpeting.
I look around the room. Do I see anyone else?
You are aware of someone in the darkness just beyond the light, watching you.
She stands very still and clasps her hands behind her back. Her eyes cast down to the floor. Father Bannon, is that you?
No, child, it's not. The voice that answers you is strange. It's like the voice of a man, the voice of a woman, and a voice in between the two. All three voices speaking at once, and these white curtains part, and this figure steps through, and you can see traces of Samael's face in this one, but this one is even more beautiful. But there's like three faces. It's like there's three images of the person overlaid one in front of each other, and they keep switching back and forth. And this being is so overwhelmingly beautiful and cruel looking at the same time that you find it difficult to look at them. And they step forward. Pleasure to finally meet you, Iommi.
Iommi drops to her knees before this creature, her eyes still cast down to the floor, her hands clasped at her back. I did everything that was asked of me.
You did. You did. And you should be proud of yourself and what you've accomplished. And you'll leave here with your prize. I simply wanted to meet you. I've heard so much about you. And you have such wonderful manners. Come over here, sit with me.
Very slowly she stands again, and she'll do as the creature asks her.
They extend a hand to you and help you and guide you to one of those plush red velvet couches, and you sit down, and they're very, very comfortable. Everything around you looks like it should be wet when you look at it, but none of it feels wet. Very strange. And you sit, and the being looks at you and gives you a smile and says, "You've come so very far, and you've done so very much for Eli."
I did as he asked. I'll always do as he asks.
Why is that?
Because I love him. He takes good care of me. So I'll take good care of him.
Love. And like all true love, one day it withered on the branch. Love is a beautiful thing. It guides humans so much to such excess and to such folly, even more so than rage, I dare say. The greatest excesses of the human world have been made in the name of love more often than not. You've done well. And Bannon is here, and while I have enjoyed my time with him, and we have come to some understandings of certain things, I am ready to let him go.
And I will get to go with him.
You can take him with you. You can go with him. Would you like to see him?
I would. Yes, very much so.
And they move over and they push the curtains wide open, and you see suspended from these chains and hooks off the ground, kind of at an angle, his body beaten, lacerated, cut, bleeding, tortured, almost completely destroyed, is Bannon hanging from these chains, blood still dripping out of him onto the floor.
How high above is this? Like, if she were to get up and go over there, could she reach him?
Yeah.
Oh, she runs to him.
You run to him and what do you do?
I believe she very softly cups his face. Father Bannon, can you hear me?
When you look into his eyes, you can see this constant mixture of agony and pleasure that just racks through him, and his body shakes, and you can see that he's kind of gone somewhere really far in the midst of all this torture that he's endured, and there's a lot of pleasure there. There's a lot of intense pleasure that kind of racks his body, even as the wounds kind of seep in blood, and he looks like he's an inch away from death.
She presses her forehead against his and closes her eyes, and for a moment tries to feel what he's feeling. Her hand still cupping him, and she is going to press her lips to his and taste the blood off of it.
And he feels real, and he feels very much there, and this elation that he's feeling, is similar to a lot of the things you felt with him in the past, but even more intense. You get the feeling that he's learned and discovered so much down here, and he seems to realize you're there as his lips move, and he kisses you back, and his eyes kind of start to focus a little bit. And when you pull back, and this strand of blood and saliva sort of linking your lips as you pull away from him splits, he says, "You'd come."
I did everything you asked, just like you said. I missed you so much.
It'll be soon over, my love. Just listen to our Lord and see what he would require of you, and we'll be on our way.
He said I get to take you home with me. We're gonna go home again.
I've been dreaming of it for an eternity. He has. And I think he's quite ready to go home. Are you ready to go home, man?
Iommi drops her hands from Bannon's face, looks at him just a little bit longer. A big smile on her face. And then slowly she turns back to Astaroth. I'm ready to do whatever I need to do.
Mostly you just need to take him with you. But there's something I would give you before. You, I believe, have become friends with one of my old friends, Samael.
The angel?
In the manner of speaking, how is Samael doing?
They've helped me a whole lot through everything.
Still longing for his wings?
He said he was looking for someone.
Is he still, then? Fantastic. As always, tenacious one. Come, my dear. There's one more thing I would ask of you before you get to leave. Sit again. And when you sit, he kneels on the ground in front of you. And he says, Bannon and I have discussed at length his vision for his future and your future and what he will seek to accomplish once he returns. I am told that he plans to marry you and to begin a family. Is that what you want?
Very much so.
Good. I would be the first to give you a gift then, to celebrate your nuptials and the birth of your first child. If you would allow me a little indiscretion. And as they say this, they push up your dress and just up over your stomach and just bare your stomach.
She remains still and calm, watching. Father Bannon said to listen to you. You can do whatever you need.
Father knows best. And Astaroth leans forward and places his mouth on your stomach and bites you, and it burns when he does. And that pain shoots all the way through your body, reverberating all the way to the core of you, and you feel the hair stand on end, and you feel your skin almost becoming electrified, and there's this deep, deep pain that transcends almost immediately into a flood of pleasure, and then it's over, just like that. And he stands up. Then he smiles and he wipes a little bit of blood from his lip. When you look down, you see that there's a charred bite mark right on your belly. A gift for you. Bring Bannon down, and you see coming from the shadows a group of strange creatures with pale skin and dark monk's robes, and all of them have wounds open on their bodies, and one of them in particular, as it advances towards Bannon, stops and looks at you. Have we met?
I think maybe.
Perhaps not yet. And this creature moves on, and the lot of them untangle Bannon from the chains and bring him down, and they bring him over to you, and he has difficulty standing, but he is managing. And Astaroth, standing nearby, holds up a glass filled with liquid wine, perhaps, and he raises it to you, and he says, "To the lovers, the best of us." And you find yourself standing in front of the black barn, which more than ever resembles a church. And you are on the front porch, and you are dressed in white, except for this black circle over your stomach. And Bannon is standing next to you. dressed in red, a beautiful suit, and all around you are all the people that you've met. You see Marjorie and Estelle and Delphine and Alice Bridger and all the others. All in the courtyard around you. Everyone is dressed beautifully. There are flowers hanging on trees and on poles, and there is music playing, and there's a big bonfire, and there are tables filled with food. And Bannon looks healed.
She turns to him and wraps her arms around his waist and buries her face there.
You did it. You did it. You brought me back, girl.
I told you I would.
I knew
Did
you would.
everything you asked.
You did. You're a real good girl. Now we're just gonna be happy.
It's you and me now. And we can live like we wanted to, and we can start a family and be happy.
That's right. You and me. I have big plans for us and what we're going to accomplish here, but the most important one, of course, and he places a hand on your belly, is to start our little family.
I very much so like that, sir.
So would I. And he lifts your chin up with a finger and he kisses you. And you can hear church bells in the distance.
She is just glowing with happiness.
"15 years go by. "15 years go by, almost in the blink of an eye. 1986. Dell.
Yeah.
"15 years. 15 years of turning horror into beauty, turning atrocity into art. Where are you now?"
I think Dell ended up traveling a lot and can't stay in one place for long. He's constantly moving around, I think. And it's honestly often in like filth and squalor. It's pretty fucking bad times, but he's happy and fulfilled in the art that he is creating. And I think we would see him over his latest piece, really into sculptures, I think. Just covered in blood, probably. We're still definitely like flesh crafting. UTM. But yeah, just covered in blood. Has a smock on now, I think is a bit more, okay, I won't get too into the grime. A little refined now that he's older. And just kind of honestly like looking like a butcher, just blood splatters everywhere, dripping. The pockets are filled with like different tools that he's using, like to carve things. And yeah, he's just currently working on a very large, probably his biggest, I think he has been dubbing it his like magnum opus.
You've come to know that the creature that spoke to you that night and that speaks to you occasionally is called Togarini. And Togarini, it seems, from what you can understand, is very much interested in exactly the type of work you're doing. Anything that creates beauty through atrocity is Togarini's beast. Throughout the years, you've been given opportunity after opportunity to ply your trade, to refine your art. You've found, as you've done this, as you've gone through the years, you've found yourself growing more and more distant from the people around you. You find yourself oftentimes being ignored. You could be in a coffee shop waiting to be served for an hour. People move around you as if you're not there. People seem to not notice you, and you seem to notice them less and less. And you've had this strange experience where the city around you seems to empty. The places you go to and the places you travel seem to be more and more empty as years go by. You've found a bit of a cult following. There's a group of people who have discovered you, and there's this new thing now. This thing they call the internet. Almost no one has access to it. Few people do, and they exchange messages through that, and because of this, your work has become known. People whisper your name and talk about you. No one's ever seen you, but people always talk about having stumbled upon your art or seen your art somewhere, and you've kind of developed a bit of a cult following that way. You have been slowly finding your way back towards Las Vegas. You've hesitated coming back here for a long time, but almost as if by destiny, you've slowly made your way back. You are finding that the small towns around Las Vegas are a great place to ply your trade because there's a lot of desperate people. A lot of people who fall between the cracks. The thing that is starting to, I think, affect you the most is this distance that you're seeing, because it's now starting to appear in your work, where you do work and you create art and you're working on this masterpiece of yours, and recently it feels like there's something missing. Always there's just something missing, and you can't quite put your finger on it until one night when you find yourself back in Las Vegas, almost kind of without realizing, remember everything that occurred here. You realize that what's missing is this hair that you used to have. Like you've become jaded almost. You've done so much, you've pushed the boundaries so much, you've gone so far that it's kind of becoming meaningless. And now that you find yourself in your old backyard, so to speak, you're starting to feel like what's really missing is working with someone that is close to you. You remember that statue, you remember Delphine and that other woman, you remember that feeling of closeness, of familiarity, of intimacy almost that you had with Delphine, even though you'd never known her. And you realize you've been craving for some time now.
I think the
with
ring's
someone
true.
like that.
Yeah. All the traveling, not being noticed by people, it's been a lonely road, but I think Del just kind of came to accept that the nature of his art was going to be like that it was going to be a road he had to take alone. And I think just over the years, that's definitely worn on them. And that's what made them come back to their hometown.
As you're walking down the strip, one night you see it. A big poster, lit up in lights. Special guest performer at one of the casinos. That woman that was attached to Delphine. She's a dancer or something like that, and apparently she's a big deal now.
Did Del ever know, like, what came of Delphine and Cassandra after
you cut them up and used their entrails and their body parts to decorate the room? Thought they were pretty much done with, and you probably stayed in that house for a while, luring people in and continuing to decorate the room until it got to the point where you just couldn't stand being in there anymore. There were too many dead bodies and bodies, and the stench was getting out of control, and neighbors were sniffing around, and that at some point someone was going to come looking. So you moved on. But you see her and you recognize her.
I think the first thing that goes to Del's mind is that if she survived, Delphine had to survive.
What do you do?
I think he goes back to the house.
You go back to the house. You find it easily enough. You remember it fairly well. When you get there, changed. The grounds have changed. There been some landscaping done. The roof has been redone. Someone's repainted the house. There's a fence now around the backyard. When you peer through the fence, you see a pool. You see kids' toys.
Okay. Does it seem like Del would try to see if anyone's home? Would just try to peek through the window, maybe?
Give me a act under pressure.
Cool. Can I spend my divinity to do that? Hell yeah, I'm gonna do that. All right, I got 16 and act under pressure.
Good. Excellent. Keep that in mind.
+1 to it, so 17 total.
Let's keep that in mind for now. Renee, you had a strange dream. You woke up one morning and you had dreamt a dark, violent, twisted dream, and you suddenly feared for your daughter, and you ran to her, and you found her fine. She doesn't live at home now, of course, but you found her asleep in her old bed, and you remembered what had happened, your husband's car accident. It made sense that she would have slept over. Probably a bit of a mess, considering it. What have you been doing, Renee, for past 15? How have you been enjoying life? What has changed? Not changed.
Before she was a housewife, Renee went to school for art. She was a painter. I think she did oil paintings. So, with no husband, this intense need to escape out of fucking Nevada, maybe East Coast will be nice. She's taken that hobby back up. Not so much of a career per se, although people have been saying that she has talent for it, but she's enjoying a quiet existence. Every now and then she'll do art galas and showings, and she'll get attention, and she revels in that attention. But it's not just her beauty, it is her art. And something about that makes her shoulders less tense, makes her more relaxed. And if you compared Renee to how she was back in Nevada, always very pristine and forcefully put together, this seems genuine for the first time in a very long time.
Time has moved on. You've aged a little bit, but very great. Your daughter is beautiful and has a husband and 2 children now who are wonderful. You've patched things up a couple of years ago with your son. Not to the point of necessarily spending too much time together, but he's coming to Christmas.
He calls now.
You've enjoyed life. It's been very good. You, at some point, saw a newspaper article about a choir conductor who had fallen dead in the middle of a rehearsal. It seemed that someone was maybe looking out for you for a while. Where are you living now?
I think it is it's not like one of those like mansion type of houses, but it's like a nice, maybe coastal cottage, not too far away from civilization. She does not deal well with isolation, but overlooking the coast, has neighbors, and yeah, just nice quiet after so much loud.
You are thinking about home, about coast, about the water. It's been quite a while since you've been back in Nevada. Not since the fire that destroyed Hartwell, but for some reason your daughter wanted to move back here. Her husband was from here, and eventually after they had children they moved back here, and she's been having trouble with the youngest one, and she called you. She was at her wit's end. Couldn't really handle it anymore, and she needed help, and you, being the good mother that took a plane and came here, You stand now at the window of their house and you can almost see the desert out there, and makes you long for your home, for the coast. Your daughter comes into the kitchen and says, "Were we that bad? Because if we were, let me apologize right now. I had no idea that a 3-year-old could be such a gang of thugs."
You were very vocal. Your brother got into situations, so I rather take vocal over, why are you in that tree? You shouldn't be in that tree.
I can't thank you enough for coming to help. I'm sure you had better things to do, but with Desmond
Nothing
gone all the
better.
time at work, it's becoming really difficult. Just deal with everything. There's the schools and daycare and work.
Hey.
And
It's all fine. Anything for family.
how do you still look so... She looks at herself in the mirror and I look like Merle Haggard. I'm thinking of maybe getting a bit of work done. What do you think?
I can't tell you no. It has, Lord knows I've done work over the years. But at the very least, now, it helps to appreciate the uniqueness. Like, your hair, I've always loved your hair.
I know. Kind of more worried about what
eyes?
Desmond...
No, absolutely not.
Well, like it used to be, like, you know...
If he can't appreciate the changes of someone he loves, with someone who carried his children and raises his children and makes sure that the house is functioning, well, that's not a very deserving person now, is it?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get it, I really do. I don't know, sometimes I just feel like I'd give anything for kids not to be here and my tits to be back up to where they're supposed to be, and Desmond to haunt me.
Well, let's ask this question. Did you want the children?
Yeah, of course I do. I mean, that's what you
Well,
do, right? Have children.
If you want to. I wanted you. I wanted your brother. And I accepted that eventually you'll leave. And then, when you left, I take more time for myself. It's only temporary that they're here.
Sometimes I feel like crazy. It's not even... I know it's insane, but sometimes I feel like there's something like sort of Damocles hanging overhead, like there's something dark that's gonna happen. Not even to that, like there's something unfinished that still sort of hovers around us, makes me night in it. I feel like I see people in the house and garden. I wake up some nights, some mornings I wake up and I feel like I have a chain around.
I think Cynthia sees a pause. I think over the years, Renee has had some realization, so to speak. I think she has more or less understood that the nightmare of the cult, of Matthew's death, of Cynthia's death, all of that, the fracturing of her mind, there was some semblance of that was true. She can't quite understand how it was true, but she knows it to be true. So hearing that Cynthia is experiencing this makes her pause. Cynthia, we've come from a long line of women who suffer. I suffered, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, her sisters, we suffered. There's no rhyme or reason as to why we were chosen to suffer, but it happened. And sometimes that makes us stronger people, and sometimes it makes us broken. I've done everything in my power to ensure that that cycle stopped with me, that it never happened to you, and the fact that you're facing this, I'm sorry. I didn't do enough. But I think what has helped me over these years is acknowledging that that happened. There's no explanation for it. There is no rhyme or reason for how it happened. But it happened. And I'm here. And you're here. We're breathing, we're existing, and we're moving forward. Don't look at my sins and my crimes and see something that you're destined to follow. Your job now is to look at the crimes and the sins of your mother and know what you must do to ensure that it doesn't happen to you or your kids. Because that's not fair to you. It's not fair to them.
He reaches out across the table and puts her hand on yours. Says, "You were great, Mom. Whatever sins you think you've committed, I'm sure they were nothing, and I'm okay. I'm okay. It's gonna pass. It's just, you know, on TV and what the other wives are doing and what people want to see, or what, you know, it's just that pressure. I'll be all right. And you did really well. You did really well."
She's gonna reach out and just stroke her cheek. I don't care what it is. I don't care how minor or insignificant it is. You call me, okay? You reach out. I'll be here for you for anything. Your brother, he's fine. He doesn't need me, and I'm happy he reaches out again. But you are my daughter. We're cut from a similar cloth, and I'll be damned if you aren't free from this cycle. So call and message me. I don't care if it's like 5 in the morning and I'm still sleeping. You call me if a thought or vision or darkness clouds you. Okay?
I promise. You did good, Mom. You did good.
But I'm serious. If he is starting to nag in regards to how you look,
No, he doesn't.
divorce, we have good lawyers. I'm just saying we can get all the money from this. Or if you want to be messy, I used to be a housewife. I know how to use knives. Don't say anything about that in front of the children.
Mom.
I'm kidding. Divorce is the only option. Murdering your spouse is a man's thing.
Iommi. Speaking of mothers, Iommi, it was very difficult. There was a wonderful 9 months. Bannon had this plan. He was going to build these solar farms out near Baker, California, and he moved you there, and you got yourself a nice little ranch house there, and a couple of men that he knew came and helped and kept the place safe, and they started laying out plans, buying land to build these sun farms that he said was the wave of the future. This is what all the energy was going to be in the future, and that you'd be at the forefront of it. And you spent an amazing year serving him, working for him, keeping the house, and doing all those things you always wanted to do for him. And he did things to you that showed you a whole new world. And there was so much that changed and opened for you. And then you became pregnant. And he dotted on you. And you had picked out a name. And then you remember all of this. A kind of fog or haze. You remember the women he'd brought. There were more and more people at the house, men, women, just drawn to him. He always had that facility, and a couple of the women came, and when you started giving birth, things went awry. Quickly. There was a rupture. One they weren't expecting, and one they couldn't deal with because they weren't in the hospital. And you remember through a haze watching them deliver your baby, screaming, and covered in your blood, and Bannon holding your hand as you lay lifeless. Your stomach had ruptured where Astaroth had bitten you, and in that moment you understood that it had all been part of the plan. That you were just an implement, and tool, and all of that, and plan. And for a long while you just moved through this fog, this in-between world. As you are caught here, caught in this land of mist and shadows, and just seeing life beyond the veil, and not able to be part of it anymore. What are you feeling, Iommi?
There is a sense of fulfillment in her. She got exactly what she wanted from Bannon. Those happy months were the happiest she's ever been. But there is a sorrow that accompanies that happiness. A longing, not being able to hold their child or be a part of that next step in the journey. And with that sorrow comes a feeling of abandonment. Doubt, did he know that this is what would happen? Where she would go? And she feels so lost here. with only those remnants of light, those happy moments to keep her pushing forward, shuffling through the fog.
And as you are pushing through the fog and thinking about, come to realize something, come to realize that you have changed. There's something about you that is different. You're no longer the Iommi of the earth, but you are beyond the veil, and you see the truth of it. And the land you move through is that land that you saw in the sky over Bannon's shoulder, and the land that Samael showed you. And in time, as you come to terms with what has happened to you and sort out through your feelings, come to realize that whatever has happened to you, passing and death, has awoken something. You feel boundless. You feel like you can go anywhere, and feel like you are limitless. What would you like to do?
Could, in this moment, before she makes a decision on what she would like to do, could I use one of my powers in this moment? I have a power called Enhanced Awareness that opens me up to visions.
You can certainly do that, and you do not need to hold. In fact, you can choose whichever result you want.
Oh. I like that. Let me look at that real quick. I think that she would like to peek into a window of Bannon and her child, essentially. She just wants to see them for a moment.
You effortlessly make this happen as you simply look to your right, and there's a house there, and there's, you know, it's not Bannon's house, and it's not even in Baker. It's a strange place called Metropolis. When you approach it, the scene inside is exactly the scene you want to see, and you see Bannon has changed. His hair is short and white, and he's grown old. He sits in a chair in this beautifully appointed ranch living room. Clear that he has even more money than he used. There are maids and servants in and about and bringing him a drink, and someone is doing some cleaning. See underneath the Christmas tree a young girl, pale, extremely pale. Her hair is so blonde it's almost white. And you see her working furiously with crayon on the pad, drawing something that you can't quite make out. And there's this strange mix of a cozy, warm little family scene, but also something strange and alien about it, like something you can't quite put your finger on. there she is, and you see very much your face in her.
Iommi smiles, but it's a sad smile. She turns away from this vision.
Just before you do, your daughter looks up straight at you. She lifts up her drawing pad, and in a very crude but unmistakable form, you can see a portrait of your face crying.
Iommi. And then she turns. And I think that Iommi is going to travel to a different home. Maybe a little bit back in time. I assume in this form she can move through. She wants to go back to her family home. A few years after she's gone. Christmas.
Do that. You travel back and you find the house pretty much as you'd always seen it at Christmas. A pitiful attempt at a tree in a corner. Nothing too ostentatious, because that's not the true meaning. Of course, the true meaning. Celebration of birth of Christ, and well, your mother takes that very seriously. While there is a bit of a concession to the holiday season with a bit of a anemic tree in one corner, you don't see a lot of cheer in the house as you move. Where would you like to go?
I think she takes this time to quietly move through the house, dropping into each room. First, her brothers. Just looking over them, watching them sleep so peacefully. Into her parents' room. And I think that the last place she goes is to her sisters.
You find Etheline not in her bed. You know where she is. You look down and you find her hiding under the bed. You always where she went when things had gone bad, and she's lying underneath there. She's grown now, in her late teens, and still huddled under there with her blanket. This old doll that you love, that you used to have on this rocking chair, that, and you can tell that she's been crying. She lies there all curled up.
Is she sleeping?
Fitfully.
Iommi very carefully crawls underneath the bed, lays on her side, facing her. She gently brushes a strand of hair from her face. And she says very quietly, not to wake her, I think you have a little bit of work to do. And she's gonna take her hand, and as she does, she's going to meld into that hand and slowly slip inside the body of her sister.
I think when you do that, you become aware of how similar she is in some ways, the pain and the horror that she's enduring daily. You know that your family picked up where they left off when you ran away with her. But you see something else there. There's a slight spark of anger, of rebelliousness that is just sputtering, and you can tell that it wouldn't take much to really flare it to life, but right now it's almost on the verge of being extinguished, and you know that that's her last little bit of defiance, of self-respect. And it's just there, this little candle flame that sputtering dark.
I think that Iommi becomes a dark passenger inside of her sister. I think she shows her visions, the horrible things that happen, followed by visions of an unattended axe outside in the woodpile. She whispers in her mind, "You know what to do."
I'm afraid.
Don't be scared. You're strong. You're strong where I couldn't be. I can see it deep inside of you. I'll be right here with you.
Promise you won't leave?
I promise.
See that little flame grow a little brighter. And she says, "Okay, who do I start with?"
Who do you want to start with?
She smiles. And the image of your older brother comes to her.
I think that's a great choice.
And she crawls out from underneath and pads off into the darkness towards that wood pile up. Marjorie. "15 years, 14 towns. There's just one left, the one you're in now, Baker. You found the Stardust Motel here. You realize how similar to Hartwell this town and all the others were, laid out exactly the same in a triangular pattern. The Stardust Motel right at the center. 15 years of driving around the country, gathering women who were abused and hurt and forgotten, overlooked and free, and gathering them to you and guiding them and lighting fires and burning entire cities. And there's only this one left, but before you could tend to it, Malkuth had one final task for you. You met a woman called Dr. Reyes, and this woman who worked also for Malkuth had been designing this drug. Several years, almost 15 years she'd been working on it. And her final product, something called Lucivex, worked. It allowed those who took it to see the truth. And so Malkuth asked you to help her set up a place where you could produce this drug, and you found this abandoned house at the edge of town. You hired some people, and you brought in the women that were working for you. they started producing this drug. And that's where we find you. It is 1980. And you are in this little underground lab. And you're seeing all these little golden yellow pills being put into boxes by these women. And you see the scope, the work that you've done over the past 15 years and how far it reached. And then you remember what date. As you stand there and look over all of this, think over all the burning and all the things you've done in the past 15. What are you thinking about?
Oh, you're muted, Kato.
Thank you. I'm thinking about how forest fires are essential, especially in desert communities. You've got to clear out the underbrush in order for things to grow properly. Otherwise, you're at greater risk for the whole thing going up in flames. And that's not what we actually want. This is planned and calculated. Every little step, every little cinder, every little ember, every little pill that looks like a golden spark. It's all calculated, all planned, and all part of shredding the illusion. I feel very content.
The man, his name is Rip, who runs the operation. Young man, very reliable. Comes to see you and said, I think we're good for today. Go home, get some shut-eye if you Marjorie. It's gonna be alright here. I brought someone with me. They're outside. I'm gonna give them some of this. They have a bit of experience with it in the past with Dr. Reyes's iteration. I think the subject give this batch a trial run.
That sounds like a great idea. Very well. If you have things well in hand, then I suppose I shall turn in. Thank you for your work.
Of course. And as you leave, the women wave at you. You wave back at them and you go upstairs and you change out of the lab coat. What does Marjorie look like at this particular? She still has that same new age hippie look from the early 70s, or as hers?
No, her style has changed. She's been moving from town to town and doesn't want to be terribly conspicuous. So she's wearing sensible mom jeans, brown loafers, and a white t-shirt and a brown belt. And her hair is up, but she does have a little stack of semi-precious stone beaded bracelets at her wrist. And you can't see it, but she does still have her toe rings on.
You step outside and it's midday and the sun's bright and warm, and you take a deep breath. And strange being back here, back in the desert after everywhere you spent so much time on the coast. To be back here is in many ways like coming back home. When you walk out across the parking lot towards where your car is hidden, and that's when you see them. And they've changed a lot. 15 years. Two of them. They've changed a lot. Starkey, you remember when he was Bannon's right-hand man, used to have this big white guy's afro and a big beard, and had these glasses on, and now his head is shaved and kind of put on about 30-40 pounds. He just has a bit of a in a leather jacket, but he still has that same hard look in his eyes. And Sandra, who used to be his high priestess, Bannon's high priestess, a total hippie girl now, with green hair, piercings, leather pants and boots. And you see the two of them, Starkey and Sandra, walking towards you in this parking lot 15 years after they disappeared in the raid. And you're not surprised. And Starkey noticed, says, "Well, I just lost 20 bucks. Thought for sure you were going to be shitting them out of when."
On the contrary, it's a pleasure to see you.
Sandra says, "It's not going to be a pleasure for a very long time, hon. Here to kill you."
Oh, I know. That's fine.
You mean you know? How can you know? We didn't know ourselves until 2 days ago.
Well, given the fact that I haven't seen you in 15 years and, well, I didn't exactly leave a good taste in your mouth, I can't imagine that the two of you meeting me in front of my car out in the middle of the desert means anything other than you're here to kill me. So, I put two and two together.
Sandra lifts up a piece of paper and you see your name and Estelle's name and Iommi's name. These other three, I don't suppose you would tell us. Find them.
No, I can't.
Well, that's a shame. Out of the corner of your eye, Marjorie, you see another figure from your past. It's not that. A young woman looking at you, looking at this scene from behind bushes. You look at her and you recognize her. Alice Bridger. From the Kult, the one who had disappeared with Bannon all those years ago, and she's watching this and she seems bright-eyed with fear. And before you can think of much else, you hear a gun call. You say or do anything?
I turn and I go, "Hello, Alice."
Her eyes go wide when you say her name, and then there's a gunshot and dark body. They wrap you up in a plastic tarp and throw you in the back of a Ford Bronco and drive up to your house, which is not too far from you. And bring out shovels and go to the backyard and dig a hole there. And they dump your body in your backyard and you stand there next to the grave with Malkuth, and you remember 15 years ago what you did. You watch as they drop your body in and start throwing dirt. Your body soon disappears. And Malkuth says, "15 years. You did very good."
Thank you.
The woman you saw earlier, Alice Bridger, or Callie as she's called now, she's coming here tonight with two friends. We'll wait for her inside your... We'll speak to her when you'll guide her hand tonight and you'll finish the work, burn down the last of the hotels. But I think we can let... I think there's still a lot of good work. What do you think, Marjorie? When she says this, you realize that there is no more boundary to anything that you can see and know, do and think. What do you do?
I inhale deeply and exhale and stare out at the vastness of the desert. I remember just how wild it makes you to see that much horizon. Perhaps we aren't meant to, but now it feels good. Very, very good. I turn to Malkuth and say, we burn the last stardust, and then what?
Estelle, there's a thrill that comes with moving through the shadows stealthily. There's a thrill that comes with have your tools on. The thrill that comes with knowing that there might be an opportunity for you to create art again, but at the same time there's a bit of an emptiness to it. That connection is missing. You need to find something, and you flip through and over that fence, and you approach the house, and you see through the sliding doors into the kitchen, you see two women sitting at a table, one a little older, one younger, probably mother-daughter. They are talking very earnestly to one another, and the young one reaches out and puts her hand on the other one's hand, and when the older one looks towards the door for a second, you're struck. You recognize her. You don't know her name, but you know that you know her. You know that a long time ago, she was very close to you. Estelle, that was her name. And you recognize her, and you feel that connection. And you feel that thrill course through your body again. What are you thinking as you stand there looking at these two women through this door and feeling that full-bodied thrill of your art kind of return to you because of the intimate connection you have with it?
Inspiration is striking Dell at this moment, I think, and he wants to know if she remembers Dell. So I think he knocks on the glass, just a couple of raps to get their attention.
Renee, you're almost have a heart attack, you and your daughter, as you hear someone rapping at the sliding door, and you turn and you look over through the door, and you see standing there Delphine, looking very ragged and very mangled and very road weary and very rough and a little crazy in the eye as she stares at you like she knows you but doesn't know you at the same time through that sliding door.
I'm just gonna let me handle this. And she's gonna politely shoo Cynthia away, maybe take care of the kids in case something weird happens, and approach the door and open it a bit.
I know you. Estelle, right?
Not anymore.
Oh.
That name was traded for the life I have now. She has it, I think.
Shape? Dell's like clearly so confused.
She opens it a bit more and steps outside and closes it behind her. From what I remember, there was a fracturing of sorts within me, and then an enlightenment. And the one who was enlightened had a mercy on me, and thus, for my name, gave me the life I have. As far as I'm aware, the one who goes by Estelle now has a club somewhere, and she seems to be doing fine. But I'm Renee.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Renee. I'm Dell.
Dell.
And they like hold out a hand. And it's so crusty. Honestly, dirty as hell, probably. But they hold out a hand to shake.
She shakes it, but it's a cautious one and a tilt of the head. Did something like that happen to you? 'Cause you look like Delphine, and I knew you as Delphine.
Dell looks at Renee with a blank expression for a moment and then just like utter confusion. And he shakes his head. He's like, no, Delphine is, well, I think she's dead, last I saw.
Oh. Well, I liked her, so that's a pity.
Sorry for your loss. Look, I've been missing something, and and Dell does have like this kind of wild look in their eye, and they take a step closer to Renee. I think you could help me complete what I'm working on. I think you could help me complete my work.
Nash Dell says this, the sliding door behind you opens, Renee, and you hear your daughter's voice say, Mom, is everything okay? And that, my friends, is where
God,
we are
fuck
going
you.
to end.
Yo.
This
Holy
little session of Kult.
Holy shit. What a fucking place to end it. Oh my gosh.
As the camera climbs up and climbs up into the sky, and we see these three women standing on the porch staring at each other, not knowing what's going to happen. We hear Marjorie's voice playing over the image. One last message recorded that someone somewhere is playing. What do we hear, Marjorie?
It's a strange thing to know the time and place of your death, but that's the deal I made. It was the least of my sins. What I did to the others might very well send me to hell, if there is a hell. But there is no such place and no heaven either, just an endless machine designed to feed our jailers. God is gone. What is left behind are dark archons and bloody death angels, most of whom feed from us like parasitic life forms, gorging themselves on the drippings of our lost divinity. For that is what we truly are. Divine, the last real gods, our glorious true forms, blazing like 1,000 suns, enshrouded in prisons of flesh, incarcerated in the great illusion, ensnared by drugs and violence and sex and the horrors of life. Our jailers are few, and they control us through lies and manipulation. They hide themselves, make us believe we have free will, but our will is bent against us, and we accept our imprisonment. But things can change. Malkuth has shown me that it can change. She built this prison, this illusion that keeps us in chains, but now she desires to tear it down, to set our minds free and allow us to regain our lost divinity. Yet there's little she can do for us unless we are willing to make the sacrifices necessary to allow our minds to shatter and thus see the truth. We all have choices to make. I was shown the time and place of my death, and I accepted what was offered. And every year between then and today, when I died, I have spent working to tear down this illusion. You may know me as Marjorie, but I finally can reclaim my real name, Nancy Weathers. That's the name I gave up when I killed my parents. Now as I die, I reclaim it once more, for I have nothing left to hide. Remember my name. And remember Estelle, Delphine, and Iommi. We all lived in our own hell in our own way, a hell imposed by the evil construct that is this society, a construct built to keep specific people in power. Breaking free from this construct requires more than patience and kindness and turning the other cheek. It requires rage, blood, and fire. Good luck.